G'day everyone, welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'll be Nat. This will be my Knackers Yard. This will be my CX500, XC500, CX500. It's be Otto. That's the good thing about naming bikes. I've got my number plates on, and I think that looks pretty awesome. What I've also managed to do is lose my bloody filming phone, so I'm doing it on my proper one, so it's probably going to be a bit more shaky, probably better quality. Right, looks good. Really love those numbers. If I remember, I'll drop a link to the eBay shop that did them. They're brilliant. They went on really well, and I am well happy with the result. Right, let's just make sure it works before I start trying to tear it apart. Okay, then I really don't like putting my phone in that frame because it doesn't fit. But still going well. I've got some guffing coming out of my repair on the right hand side that I'll have to have a look at, but we're looking good. Start stripping him down a bit, and we'll get those carbs off today, I think, and at least have a look. In the background I am chucking paint at the Hawk's tank. I won't bother showing you as it's going. I'm not going to get it done this weekend. For one, I'm out of lacquer, but for two, I want to leave it to settle for at least a good part of a week before I get the lacquer on. I've also got some decals that I want to put on it, stickers, that I am going to lacquer over, and see how we go on with that. I'm not a big two sets. I always have a concern when it comes to tank stickers and lacquering over, because when it's done properly and polished around, you can't see any, there's no hint of edge or flecking around, whereas once you've got a sticker on as a home jobby and you're lacquering over the top, the amount of lacquer that you need over there so that you're not rubbing into the sticker itself when you try and get the polish back is difficult, and I normally end up with some flecking around the edge. Not a problem with Otto, because it's a badge, it's a bolt-on badge. I've just realised how different the colour looks on the camera than in real life. It's lighter in real life. Weird. Right, I'm going to let that cool down. Chuck a bit more paint at Pork's tank. I've also taken the horn off. I'm just going to chuck some black on that just because it looks a bit rough. Where is it? Where did I put it? I've put it somewhere. There we go. So I've just knocked it back as much as I can. I'll chuck some primer on it and some black, and then just bang it back on. It's nice and loud. I did consider putting one of the air horn snails on it, but it's a tiny bit louder, but it looks awful on that bike. It just doesn't suit it. Right, let me get on. Okay then, so tank off, seat off. I'm going to get those carbs off. Now you can actually see it there. You see the one shiny bolt right in the middle. That's into the drive for the speedo drive, which don't move. Don't want to do this too much. We've got no tank and no fuel on it, but fan moves, everything else moves. That doesn't. So I do need to get to that, which I think means I'm going to have to take the radiator off and radiator off to get to it. So first things first, flush the coolant. I've taken the cap off because I took it off before to paint. Turn the light off, no, you fool. So the cap is down here with some primer on it, and the Horn is up there as well. Right, so that's multitasking. So I've got a tank that's painted or painting or drying, I think it's probably the best way of putting it. Those that need the other side, I just want to flush this coolant out. So emptying out the radiator, there's a plug underneath it. I need to be careful of my fresh paint. It does comment saying it might be easier to just take the hoses off, which, yeah, probably right. Okay, I do recall from one of many videos I've watched on these bikes that the easiest way to connect the throttle cables is by removing this right diaphragm cover, or the high side. So let's do some stuff with the knowledge of others, shall we? Gammy, but not horrendous. Cleanable, I think, is probably the way I'd describe it. Right. So it's got a pull and a return cable. Right, let's see if we can get this out then. Oh, that was easier than I expected. Looks like these are a mounting bracket for the coils as well, so I don't necessarily need to take them both off. Ooh. Right. So that's a mount for the coil. And it should give me a bit more space to snurgle this bad boy out. I'm caught on cables and hoses and all sorts. Right, so the radiator overflow passes, it's not the overflow, sorry, into the bowl, passes through the carb, so let's pull that back. Aha. Right, I'm going to leave the throttle one with the bolt at the bottom. That's more for me than for you, so I don't forget. Ta-da! Right. That's quite messy. Obviously I've taken the other diaphragm off, but it seems to be working. Just looks a bit grotty. The chokes don't look too bad. Right, let's crack them and see what they're like on the inside. But they don't look bad at all, frankly. Grotty, but that's sorry, I'll rephrase that. Grotty on the outside, grotty on the outside, crunchy on the inside. Armadillos. That will mean nothing to most and something to some. Right, I'm going to do up the bolts that stop the fuel coming out. Not overflows. I can't think of the bloody word. Because I always forget and I reload carbs and I just let them piss all over everything. So I'll do those up and then I will crack the carbs and we'll do it on the bench in a little bit more comfort than I've got out here because I'm bloody freezing and I'm in a bit of a time frame because Mrs. is away today, so I've got to do the pick up of the youngest and the drop off of the elder two at their club. But let's have a quick look. Right, okay then, so I'll put the diaphragm back on. Good squirty squirty. So we've got right side, left side, or high side, excuse me, high side, low side. Let's just do a quick check of the air fuels. So screw them in. So that's out half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, Jesus, 3.25. So let's go half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3.25. Not quite sure what you can see. Let's go half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.25. At least they're the same. Half, 1, half, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.25. Just returning to what they are because, you know, fundamentally it works. And really, I'm just investigating to see whether or not, for one, it needs a clean, and for two, it needs jetting. Now, because this was built by somebody and then bought by the guy that I bought it from, I like to think it has been jetted. Christ. But we shall see. Right, okay, so let's take the float bowls off. So, high side, right side. Pretty damn good. Looking at the left side. Gunky, but not too bad. So, quick look at the jets. Let's keep an eye on the time, so I've got to do a pickup shortly. Nice and clear jet. That is. God, needs some light. Excuse me. All right, so I've got 78. And again, a clear jet. Looks like a 175, but it's really hard to see and tell. Let's have a look on the other side. Definitely a 78 because it's easy to see. And that is, I can't make that out if it's a 115. I'm still not sure, but anyway, I need to hit the book and work out what it's supposed to be. Now, I know on the initial jet I can't just pull it out. I need a tool to do it, which is essentially a really thin bolt that you kind of screw in and pull the whole thing out, but I haven't got that, nor do I really want to have to get one. But we shall see. Let me just whip this out into daylight so I can see what's going on. Right, so I've taken the two rubber stops off the, I think, slow jet. I'll have to check that out. It's fine. There's enough flow through them. I could dig through and pull them out, but I don't think I'm going to. I just need to give it a good clean as much as anything else. Or I would say a good clean, a fairly good superficial clean. Yeah. Got a little bit of dead bounce. I don't think these are adjustable float heights, which doesn't help. But I mean, it's not leaking. It's fine. I'm content. But I've got no tangs to bend or anything like that. But right, I do need to go and pick up Youngest from a club, so I'll go and do that now. I might start having a bit of a closer look at this. I mean, if nothing else, there's rusty elements that are going to need to come off. I don't really want to strip it to bare bits because I think there is a degree of balancing. In fact, speaking of balancing, let's have a quick. Sorry, I'm just arsing around, seeing if there is any distinct difference from one side to the other. And I know I'm eyeballing it, but you know, as far as laughably called bench sinking or ice sinking, I think I was slightly higher on, well, you're right, but actually the left bank. Oops, that wasn't moving. This because you're pushing a bolt, you moron. So you can see, I've got a torch, I can see light, I can see a gap around the left-hand carb, i.e. your right, my left. Your right, left on the bike, sorry. That I can't see on the other side, so I wonder if it's just a slight sinky issue. But we shall look. Now on this one, it's got a retaining bolt around the actual sink screw, balance screw, so it is, by all accounts, a bit of an arse ache to do on the bike, but I can definitely see more of a gap on, again, the right as I'm displaying it, but it's on the bike the other way if you follow. So on the left-hand carb, it looks a little bit open more than it does on the other side. Right, I'll have a think about that. But first things first, I need to go and pick up my youngest from a club, and then I'll start giving these a bit of a douche. Okay, I think a little bit of mystery solved, or on its way to being solved. Now, both with the help of the CX500 forum, if you're messing around with bikes, just search and find a Facebook group, a forum, whatever you can find. Don't always take what they say as gospel, but it's a really good start point. So having dug around at those, and it's quite hard to see what they are jetted to, but the book jetting is what you can see, 78 on the primary, secondary is 112. Now the more and more I look at these, it's difficult to read the stamps, but it's jetted as per book. Now bearing in mind that we check the air fuel screws as well, I think the air fuel screws have been used to compensate for the fact that it has no airbox and non-standard pipes and exhausts. So rather than change the jetting, they've just changed the air, or whoever built it changed with the air fuel screw and tried to compensate that way, hence the, what was it, 3 1/4 out. So yeah, not good enough, not correct. Sounds very pious there, Nat, Jesus. Right, let me dig into my little box of jets and I'll see what I've got. Probably sod's law, I won't have what I need, but according to the forum, clean my stock cars, jetted to 90s/120s for pods and a 2-to-1 exhaust. You can't see that, you'll have to trust me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, and it seems a popular combination of, once you piss around with the setup of the bike, i.e. pods and play with the exhaust, that you jump up. That's quite a lot. That's a lot of jump actually, from 75 to 90, and less of a jump from 112 to 120. But let's see what I've got and see if I've got anything even near that. But the one thing that I am pretty sure of is what it's got at the moment is not right for the setup of this bike. So let me grab my little box of joy out and I'll see what I can find. Okay, so little box of joy. Now, noting that 60% of the people watching this have got exactly the same, a little box of stuff that they've accumulated over time. Some won't have this luxury, so I use pill boxes because they're cheap. I have spent a boring evening organising them a long time ago. I did once write on the front what they are, although it's pretty much worn off. I do have 120s, which is good. Let's just do a bit of a side by side. I think they'll work. I'm going to, can't do anything with that without taking it off. I don't want to take it off. I'm going to clean this up as much as I can, i.e. take off the big plates, probably chuck some paint on them overnight, just to get them all a little bit better. Chuck those carbs, those jets in them to see if they work. See what happens. In that classic suck it and see Nat way, where I'm mostly making stuff up as I go along. But that will do me for now. Thank you for joining me pissing around in my shed. And we'll see how we go from there. Try not to lose anything in the interim. Cheers all. Ta-ra.